Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning, where this week we are featuring and focusing on the road to WrestleMania 39. It's the big one, it's the big show, well it's the big show, it's the big nasty, it's a big chokeslam through the mat as it were. WrestleMania 39 is coming and they are throwing everything they've got into this one because Triple H wants to make a mark on this. He wants to make it very clear that this is his WrestleMania, and this is how WrestleMania is going to be going forwards. So even though many of us will be waiting for WrestleMania 40 for the big ones, and then WrestleMania 50 onwards, Triple H has a statement that he would like to make. Now, I've noted down 10 matches that I expect to see on the WrestleMania card. We're going to go through them, see how excited people are for them, see how we've got there, and of course, as always, I'll be answering your questions as well. So this will be very much WrestleMania 39 focused, but as always, we will be doing our usual question and answer as well. So any questions you ask, I will endeavour to answer as best I can. Though please understand if the answer is, I don't know, because it's wrestling and you never can tell. Bailey says, hello Tom, do you see Damage Control breaking up before WrestleMania? I do not. I see Damage Control sticking around for a very long time. Bailey and her little group are not likely to be breaking up on the basis that Triple H wants to make a sea change when it comes to factions and tag teams. Under Vince McMahon, you expected every single tag team to break up every single week. Triple H wants a difference for that, and he believes Damage Control can be the focus point of the women's division for a long time to come. Spider-Boss says, just a question, why WWE chose Becky and Lita as Damage Control's opponents? They chose Becky as Bayley's opponent, and Lita was just sort of there and available, so why not? Noob says, good evening, Tom. How you doing? Doing very well, thank you, Noob. Welcome to the show. Justin Check says, heard Cameron Grimes just waiting on creative at the moment. What's your source for that one, Justin? Also says, I like the deliberate pace they're taking. We want you. We just want a specific creative for you, which is a very fair point. They are waiting for the right moment and the right story. They did with Bayley after all. Also worth pointing out that you then asked the question about noting Cora Jay's absence on NXT. Exactly the same situation. Christoph says, hey Tom, how would you book Sami and KO's reconciliation before they team up on a live event in Toronto? Easy. What I would do is I'd have them beat the ever-living crap out of each other, get it out their system, then get beaten the ever-living crap out of by the Usos, then come together. Sometimes you just gotta let brothers fight it out, you know? Just let them scrap. Every now and then you just gotta let them scrap. Jordan Darlow says, good evening, Tom, and the Spoiler Warning community. Welcome, Jordan, and of course, Spoiler Warning community in general. Noob says, good evening. I've already read that one. Nas says, hey, Tom, how you doing? Mania is shaping up to be an in-ring classic. Who would you have, Brock, Bray, or Bobby? I personally want Bray versus Brock, something new. I personally would still have Brock versus Bobby. More on that shortly. As I say, I do have 10 WrestleMania planned matches that have been in the news recently to talk about, how we got there, and what's coming next. Chris Perry says, hello Chris, welcome back. Simon says, hey Tom, your thoughts on what's going on with all the Trish Stratus, she's coming, she's not coming. Well, it's very possible that she's not coming, and we do have to consider that as a possibility. After all, we've heard a lot about her being backstage, but we've seen no evidence at all of this actually being the case. So until we get something involving her, I'm going to wait and see on that one. Razar says, the Reddit user Kermit has said that the tag match will main event night one, while Meltzer said it's Charlotte versus Rhea. Do you know anything about this? Yes. The Reddit user Kermit reported that Saudi Arabia already owns and has sealed a deal for the WWE. So whatever they're reporting, they clearly know better because they know Saudi Arabia. David Leary says, Tom, I see Meltzer confirmed your report about Vince being involved in the Bloodline Roman Sami storyline. He did indeed, and it's always nice to have that sort of backup, as it were. We also got a little bit towards confirmation of that from Fightful, though not full confirmation by any way, shape or form. That was quite a distant report on it, a opinion being shared rather than a report per se. The main event for night one, I have said that I think Charlotte versus Rhea is in of a shout for that one, though Sami and KO are certainly arguing on the other side as well, just to be clear on that one. Spider-Boss says, could we see Trish back in WWE soon? Yeah. Also maybe not. Very open system. Venom says, hi Tom, how are you? Doing very well, thank you Venom, welcome to the show. Daz Brown says, big up Tom, do you think Edge saves Ray? I think that's certainly a possibility. There's plenty of involvement that they can have, and honestly, Edge and Ray are clearly close This worked out really well when it comes to the overall storylines being played out. Given that we are likely to see Finn Balor and Edge... Oh, in fact, those are the two matches that I forgot to add to my list. Finn Balor versus Edge, and of course, Dominic versus Rey Mysterio. I forgot about those two matches entirely. Chris would rather... Sorry, I'll go with Perish because we worked out that one out last time. Perish says, Bray versus Karrion, I prefer, to be honest. I just don't think Karrion Kross can afford another loss. He's had a lot so far. I'd like him to win at least something at some point. Simon says, is Liv still going to be in the women's tag team title match? More on that when we get to that match. Hector says, I'm not really an AEW viewer, but I am in the know. And I'm so glad to see Malachi back, and House of Black as a whole is finally being taken seriously, especially if they win the trios titles from the Elite. There is a lot of change going on right now in AEW. Aleister Black, or Malachi as he is now, had vocalized an interest in leaving, as have several others, Miro, FTR and the like. Tony Khan has decided to try and keep them, as he has with CM Punk. Traffic says, good evening, Tom and chat. As always, thanks for the news. Thank you, Traffic. Appreciate that. Chris Leclerc says, 36 days away from WrestleMania 39. I wonder if I can use this exact YouTube title, an exact Twitch title, for the whole 36 days. Because Road to WrestleMania 39 is going to get views. It really is. Simon says, Brock versus Omos at WrestleMania 39. Yeah, I'd never see that one happening. Perry says, let Bobby and Brock close it out at WrestleMania. See, you say that. Given that Bray Wyatt has made a beeline and will likely be involved after the match, you never can tell. Callie says, evening, Tom. Hey, Callie. Venom says, looks like we're getting Omos versus Brock. We're not. Simon says, are we still getting Becky versus Bayley at WrestleMania 39? Is there a stipulation involved? Waiting on confirmation. There will be some incarnation of Becky Lynch versus Bayley at WrestleMania 39, as reported on Spoiler Warning back in October. Peter says, evening, Tom. How you doing? Like and subscribe, people. Don't make me get the table. Welcome, Peter. How you doing, mate? Wrestler fan says, will LA Knight wrestle at WrestleMania 39? I find it possible he'll wrestle at the pre-show. And that is it. Eddie Gomez says, per Meltzer, did you see the Elite possibly join WWE? No. Here's the thing. When you have open-ended reports like that, yes, the Elite could join WWE 10 years from now. It's a massively open situation. Thank you kindly, Corey, for renewing your subscription on Twitch for a 23rd month. I still cannot entirely believe that I've been saying that for this long. Wow. Spider-Boss says, per Fightful, Trish will be heavily featured in WWE soon, that she is fine with WWE. Yeah, and I wasn't aware there was any issue with WWE. If she's there, she's going to be there. And honestly, I could see her coming back for at least one final run, getting a few matches, in next season. Will says, from what you know of and the people you talk to, do you know if WWE have a good chance of WWE getting Jay White? Not up to them, it's up to Jay White. Venom says, do you think Edge wins any more titles before retiring? Yes, but no world titles. Heno says, hi, Tom. Hope you're great. Kind regards, man. Welcome, Heno. How you doing, sir? Steve says, what's happening, Tom? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Doing well, thank you, Steve. I'm certainly interested in what your coverage in the build-up to WrestleMania is going to be. I'm excited to see what videos you're thinking of multiple YouTubers involved. I always like the work that you do in that regard. Just before I continue with the comments and before I get to the matches that I want to talk about, we currently have 75 viewers and 20 likes. Please remember to hit the thumbs up as you come in and subscribe if you haven't already. Aled says, is it true that there are talks of possibly adding Sami to the Cody Roman match? No, there are no talks about possibly doing that. Perry says, I feel if WWE doesn't main event night one with Charlotte and Rhea, then why continue saying Rumble winners main event Mania when it's now not completely true? Feel that should stop if WWE won't comply. They tend to be hit and miss on it. When they say main event WrestleMania, championship match at WrestleMania, they're finicky about it at times. I think Charlotte and Rhea would have guaranteed being the main event of night one. The WWE do want a women's and then a men's, and Roman is always going to be the main event. However, Sami Zayn, there it is. Spider-Boss says, how do you rebuild Karrion Kross with his current status in WWE? Easy. Let him win a couple of matches. That'd be great. Never happens. Corey is saying, hey Tom, happy 23-month anniversary. Have your tab open. Have a good stream. And you, sir. Hope you enjoy my stream as well. Then it says, any update on CM Punk? None whatsoever. There is still a bit of a headbutting situation. Like a firm headbutting situation. Where CM Punk doesn't want to return, but Tony Khan does not want to pay him. Or pay him off, I should say. The 1 Minute Wrestler says, hi Tom Colohue. Welcome 1 Minute Wrestler, how you doing? Spider Boss wants Brock versus Lashley for big meaty men slapping meat. And says, why people still care about the awards that come from the Wrestling Observer? Because awards are fun. Like, awards are fun. It's really... I know a lot of people are really angry in general at Wrestling Observer at times, but they did an award show, they let people vote on it. If we did an award show and let people vote, no one would have any issue with it. I don't see the issue. Hector says Paul Omos is about to get trolled and probably will only be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Maybe he'll even win it. I think Brock may end up wrestling on a Raw, which is strange for him. No thoughts, Simon. I have no thoughts on Sasha Banks and Kenny Omega communicating via Twitter. That's... no thoughts. Steve says, what are you most looking forward to on the road to WrestleMania 39? Personally, what I'm most looking forward to is the reunion of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I just feel that's going to be very entertaining. It doesn't look like we're going to get the zeroed-in focus on Becky versus Bayley at the moment. That's disappointing, but I do think Asuka working with Bianca could be fun as well. Vegeta says, hi Tom. Hello Vegeta. Christoph says, so far Meltzer is still the only one who reported Brock versus Omos as it was planned. As usual, many others have followed his report. This match would be horrible. I don't see it being a thing. I really don't. Unless the plan is right now to throw Bray in there immediately against Bobby, I don't personally see it. Now Simon, they're teasing Brock versus Omos because they want to make you think that they're doing Brock versus Omos. I don't... Again, it's fairly standard. Venom says, still doing a SmackDown watch along tonight, Tom? Yes, I am, as I do every single week. But I appreciate you asking the question anyway. Vegeta's excited by Brock versus Omos. Andrew Quinn says, I can't wait for WrestleMania 39. Also, I'll be going to my mates and staying over to watch it. Also, Ant-Man Quantumania is fantastic. 3 things in one. Nicely done. Shogun says, Fiend Evolution at some point with Bray storyline. We're very sleepy, actually, to be honest. Fair enough, Shogun. Sorry to hear it, but sleepiness does happen. As regards Bray, we've not seen a real evolution in the character at all so far. Nothing. So, we need more for me. Sean says, hi Tom. Welcome, Sean. Spider-Bus says, Nikki Bella recently said that WWE always pushes people they want to push. Of course they do. Yeah. Would you rather they push people that they don't want to push and thus don't really believe in? They tried pushing Reginald. People didn't really get behind that, so they stopped. Like, they wanted to push Roman Reigns. The fans didn't want Roman Reigns. Do you still not want Roman Reigns? I think they were kind of right on that one. Also, they know the wrestlers better than we do. It's not a difficult one. Aled says, do you want Cody to win at Mania? Yes, and I think he will anyway. Steve says, thanks for the kind words as always, Tom. As I am with you, mate, you're always on top form. Thank you kindly. Perry says, what is this supposed animosity between Rock and WWE? Can you confirm or shut down these rumours? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not aware of any rumours about animosity between Rock and the WWE. To my knowledge, there is no animosity between The Rock and the WWE. There is pretty consistent contact, particularly since Triple H started to be in charge of creative, and pretty consistent, nope, sorry, not available. Pretty standard stuff. Noob says, did you see the Wrestling Observer News Awards? No. See, that's the thing. I'm not that interested in Wrestling Observer Awards, so I just don't look them up. And funnily enough, I don't get annoyed by them, because I forget they happen. Venom suggests as regards Cross, let him win without Scarlett, otherwise his career might as well be over. I wouldn't go that far, but certainly the way he's been booked so far, he literally cannot win a match without Scarlett providing a distraction. Considering his name used to be Killer Cross, he ain't much of a killer. Will says, we already knew this, but it's nice to see WWE confirmed your report about the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. You told us this like 5 months ago. The King and Queen of the Ring was something that was being discussed. When they were talking about changing pay-per-views, they wanted a King and Queen of the Ring, but they were not going to do a pay-per-view for it. That is still exactly where we are. We weren't going to do one last year because of the pandemic and a lot of sea change in the overall, particularly as regards Triple H taking over. But when it comes to King and Queen of the Ring, it'd be coming. Simon said, is Liv going to be on SmackDown tonight? I don't have a SmackDown rundown. Unless she's already booked and announced, I don't know. Venom says, I've got to protect the wrestler, the superstars in a loss, but we see way too many screwy finishes and it's kind of getting old. There's been a lot less screwy finishes than there has been under Vince McMahon. Spider Boss says, Impact Wrestling CEO Scott D'Amore said that Impact Wrestling would love to have Mickie James versus Mercedes on Impact. Yeah, of course he would. Impact Wrestling CEO says he'd love to make money. Yeah. Sean says, did you see a report by Fightful Select? Nope, don't have Fightful Select, and I will never be paying them for that. That talent believe Vince is back on creative. This was referenced to me. Of course, that is in reference to something I've already reported. So, appreciate the confirmation, Sean. The Dark Society says, since it started with Jey Uso and Roman, I feel like it should end with them, but don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the belts will be involved, but I do think that's where it will finish. Counterfeit says, how many title changes will happen at WrestleMania 39? I will be giving my predictions in addition to walking through the matches that I expect to see on the card. I have 12 in total to discuss. That's not including the Battle Royals, which I'm just going to sort of ignore and move on from. So I'll get that information to you over the course of this show. Alyssa, we don't know if Sami Zayn is going to main event anything. You're asking like it's already happened. Noob says, with both the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments coming back, will we see the return of the Mae Young Classic this year? Unlikely, not impossible. Triple H is specializes in those sort of tournaments, and he's very interested in bringing some back. Baylor says, your thoughts on Naomi's next stop as a performer? Independent? I still think she'll come back to WWE eventually, but for now, she's happy, and I think that's the main thing. Venom says, if we're not getting Bray versus Bobby or Brock versus Omos, then what's the Mania plans for Bray and Omos? Because they clearly want them on the card. Omos, not so much. They're not really that concerned about getting Omos on the card. Bray, yes, more on that shortly. Wrestler Fan says, will Pat McAfee wrestle at WrestleMania 39? He's currently considered to be a backup in case they cannot get John Cena. Ghost says, hello Tom and chat. Hope everyone is feeling oozy. Oops, too soon. Not too soon at all, Ghost. Not too soon at all, because he still feels oozy. He still feels oozy. Hector says, Tom, did you see that Jeff Hardy's charges were dropped? Glad to see he's going to be wrestling, but how many DUIs will it take before they actually do something? Because this is scary. I don't think that's the whole story, to be fair, Hector. He's literally been banned from driving for 10 years, so it's not like he got away scot-free. Vegeta says, Uncle Dave clueless as usual. Simon says, the Live Squad are all worried on Twitter. Then move on. You have this habit, Simon, of jumping in with the militant sides. There's a large part of the crew which are militant as hell. Large part of them aren't. But the amount of times I've seen you say, oh, this group of people are really annoyed on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's a cesspool. It's a satanic pit. Anyone complaining on there, I automatically ignore them because it doesn't mean much. The people I care about are all in here anyway. Night Rider says, perhaps King Cross would be more fitting. That's not a bad shout, actually. That'd be a good way to sort of get Karrion Kross recovering. A King of the Ring reign. That would be fun. That would be fun. Aled says, there was a report from Cultaholic that WWE were afraid Sami's popularity will affect the build to Cody and Roman. Is this true? Definitely not, on the basis that Cultaholic do not report exclusive news. I'm not aware of them ever reporting exclusive news, so that's definitely not true. Zama says, which May pay-per-view is in Saudi Arabia, Backlash or King of the Ring? To my knowledge, King of the Ring is not going to be a pay-per-view. Sean says, I also saw Nikki Bella say she got yelled at after winning Diva of the Year. Well, if she says it, it's probably true. Razar says, is WWE not doing a Hall of Fame this year? We ask this one every single time. We don't know at this point. Triple H is clearly not letting anything leak, and so far, so good. Buck Spaceman says, hi Tom, do you think superstars like Bianca will be moving to SmackDown since SmackDown needs to beef up the roster? Yes. Asuka, I believe, will win, claim the championship, stay on Raw. Bianca will move to SmackDown alongside Rhea Ripley. Counterfeit says, I'm worried for Rhea's title reign because the SmackDown women's division isn't that good. If the very first feud is 2 months against Bianca Belair, and then that's followed up with a feud against Liv Morgan, I reckon they'll be okay. Ooh, I've missed a bit. Spider-Boss says, when could we see Pat McAfee back on SmackDown? Pretty much whenever. Pretty much whenever. It's whenever he's available. Moxie says, yo Tom. Yo Moxie, how you doing? Christoph says, which should headline night one for you? For me, Charlotte versus Rhea. I like the idea of having a women's main event and a male main event. That works for me. Also, while I think the Usos, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are in a great spot and thoroughly deserving of that position, they won't be made by that position in the same way that Rhea Ripley would. It'd be more beneficial for Rhea, to me, than it would be for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Thomas said, zero news said, and I immediately stopped reading. Woody Swain says, hey Tom, how are you doing? Doing pretty well, Woody. Welcome. This is the road to WrestleMania. Could you sing your WrestleMania song? Thanks for keeping us informed with all the news. See, I am a classic sort of WrestleMania song lover. Back in the days of whoa, ho, WrestleMania. That was mine. That was mine. Simon says, will you be watching Impact versus New Japan? Nope. Vegeta says Roman is not winning, which is correct. John Gillis says Meltzer stated Bayley's in hot water for going to the New Japan show and to Japan and has cost her Mania spot. This is not true. That's completely false. There is no hot water for Bayley. In fact, the WWE were fully aware she was going and fully supportive of it. Owen Swain says, just subscribed. Thank you, Owen. I appreciate that. Really credible journalist compared to Uncle Dave and Barry Alvarez. I don't really feel the need to go after anyone else. I do believe we can build up ourselves without attacking other people. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's a nice thing to say. But I don't feel we need to go after other people for it. Ghost says, I don't want anyone to assume Jeff will be returning to wrestling. I understand the lack of faith after giving him so many chances. But the main focus should be on his health and well-being rather than returning to AEW. And I agree with that. As wrestling fans, we often pressure wrestlers into doing things that they don't necessarily want to do. It's difficult sometimes being in the public eye. Spider-Boss says, your thoughts on Dominic Mysterio as a heel on the main roster? Loving it. Absolutely loving it. Christoph says, King of the Queen of the Ring will be on pay-per-view. It's been announced for May 27th. Backlash will be May 6th. Oh, so it is pay-per-view. Okay. I must have missed that one. I've not really been focused today. I thought the report was that it was going to be a live show. So the WWE have themselves announced that King and Queen of the Ring will be on May 27th. I have not been following their Twitter enough, clearly. Counterfeit says, yeah, Tom, I think Asuka will win the title, but not at Mania. Knight Rider says, what if Trish turns heel, joins Bayley, making the women's tag a triple threat, with Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna versus Bayley and Trish? Because what you've done there is have a women's triple threat, which isn't for the championships. Steve also loves that WrestleMania song and wants to do a karaoke duet. That is a weird request, mate. Weird request, but you know what? Let's do it one day. Woody says, yes, Tom, love it. That's why the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Appreciate that. Joey says, hi, Tom, just joined. What did I miss? So far, we're still in the Q&A section. I have not yet jumped into the road to WrestleMania and the matches planned. Sean says, does Saraya win the triple threat to become the new AEW Women's Champion? Probably not, no. Simon says, the men's tag team titles won't be defended at Saudi pay-per-view due to Sami not being able to travel to Saudi Arabia as usual. The WrestleTalk podcast says, hey, Tom, welcome to WrestleTalk. A counterfeit is saying there is a pay-per-view set for May 6th, then June 4th, then July 1st. Okay, has this been officially confirmed by the WWE? I want to be clear on that one. Spider-Boss says, who's the best female wrestler from the UK, Becky or Saraya? I'm not going to limit it in every possible way there. Personally, I'd say Kaylee Ray. Perry says, before the pandemic, we saw new TV sets. Do you think Triple H will bring back iconic set? At the moment, no. He likes doing that in NXT, but that's more of a Shawn Michaels thing. We will see some throwbacks now that it's his first full year in charge, and he will be using that, but he won't be going all out on it with the presentation. Largely, any presentation and things like that is not his department anyway. It's down to Nick Khan and Kevin Dunn, who decide that. After all, Triple H is in charge of creative. That does not mean production. Joey says there's no way Triple H booked Omos versus Brock. That was definitely a Vince idea. Well, it's not happening at WrestleMania to my knowledge, so I certainly haven't heard anything about it personally. Doesn't mean it's not happening, but I don't personally see it. Simon says, do you think Damage Control retain Monday on Raw versus Becky and Lita? Yes. Steve says, in the words of Seth Rollins, let's get weird. Simon says, the WWE also let Tamina go to the Battle in the Valley pay-per-view to see Mercedes as well. Yes. There was no issue whatsoever with that. None at all. Dark Society says if Roman was facing anyone but Cody, and then the sentence apparently is over there. Counterfeit says, Tom, what's the better match? Bianca versus Asuka versus Ronda, or Bianca versus Rhea versus Ronda? Okay, what I'd need there is to watch the matches in order to tell you which one was better. Thank you, Naz. Confirming the source for the pay-per-views is Brandon Thurston, which means I pretty much immediately believe it. The guy does not miss. The Dark Society says, I'm sorry for that, Tom, but if Roman was facing anyone else but Cody at WrestleMania, I could see him winning. Yeah, me too. If he was facing Sami, I'd expect him to win, but it's Cody. Wrestler Fan says, will guys like Johnny Gargano, Braun Strowman, Karrion Kross, Ricochet, etc. be competing at WrestleMania 39? Maybe. More likely than not, they'll be in the Battle Royals. David Leary says WWE didn't confirm anything about King and Queen of the Ring. It was Brandon Thurston, which, again, appreciate the sourcing. Rizal says, I think Becky and Seth go to SmackDown in the draft to get them away from Cody and Bianca, since they're all faces now. I see Bianca moving to SmackDown, so it doesn't quite fit what they're going for. Perry says, if Becky and Lita win the tag titles before WrestleMania, it gives you a legit reason to have a rematch, but if Damage Control win, what's the point to do anything at WrestleMania? Damage Control will be taking on Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Essentially, they'll be going to the other side for that one, and Ronda Rousey is planned to be on Raw over the next few weeks, at least at some point. That's the build that's planned for that. Becky versus Bayley is still the story that they're working towards. That's still their focus. Simon's a big fan of Logan Paul. Alex says, is there still talks of a draft happening after WrestleMania? I get asked this every single spoiler warning. The answer every single time is yes. Counterfeit says, Ronda and Raquel to Raw, Alexa and Bayley to SmackDown. That could work. Yeah, I think they could definitely benefit from Alexa Bliss as well at a high level at this point. She could definitely have an own feud with Charlotte. Sam is asking for my prediction for Seth versus Logan Paul. I'll be getting onto the matches in just a moment. Christoph also confirming Brandon Thurston. Joey says, do you know who Bray's opponent will be at Mania, or is WWE still deciding? I don't necessarily think he's going to have a match. Simon says, Jamie Hayter is the best UK female pro wrestler. Perry says, I can definitely tell it's not beer this time. Nope, it's pink. It's bright pink. Owen says, I actually think Omos is world champion material. Can see him main eventing Mania next year. Bucks Basement says, hey Tom, do you think Mercedes is going to be the next Cody? When she returns to Sasha Banks and WWE, she'll be strapped with the rocket and become the new face? No. Sean says the Raw John Cena was announced for has now sold 2,000 more tickets for that show. Thank you, Ed, for confirming there's been no official announcement from the WWE. Steve says, long time away at this stage. What are your predicted matches to open both nights of WrestleMania this year? Night 1, personally, I would be going for Brock versus Bobby. Night 2, I would be going for Becky versus Bayley. Though also Bianca versus Asuka, I feel, could well be the opener there. Eric says, Tom, do you think there's a chance Liv misses Mania? There's a chance that everyone misses Mania. There's still time to get injured. Night Rider says, Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul could be a lot better than something. I think most people actually expect it to be quite good, so not sure on that one. Spider-Boss says, do you think Bianca can get the Roman babyface treatment? I think she already is and has. Now says, as you can tell, I'm a big FTR fan. Do you think their decision will be public, or do you think they'll just pop up wherever? Yes, it will be public, because if they leave AEW, they'll immediately sign somewhere else. Joey says, why did they pull Trish from Raw? What are they saving her for? Once again, we've had no official confirmation that that's what happened. It could just be that they changed the plans and decided not to use her until they were ready for her. Barry says, do you foresee WWE doing Evolution 2 this year or at all? I do not. The main reason I don't see that is because of the reason in WWE's mind for Evolution 1. It wasn't about having a female-only pay-per-view, it was about using the wrestlers while the men were off in Saudi Arabia. Now that the women can wrestle in Saudi Arabia, there won't be another Evolution. Buck says, any news on a reunion for DIY? It's been discussed, it's not been confirmed. Bailey says, just a thought, but as WWE continues to do well on its main shows, the ability to bring up more NXT stars becomes even more difficult. And it does. It absolutely does, particularly with the rosters as deep as they are right now. Vegeta says, I think this upcoming Raw After Mania is the most anticipated one in many years. And Moxie says, Seth versus Logan is going to steal both nights of WrestleMania, in my opinion. I'm so excited. And he just can't hide it. No. I know I did get the email. I'm not going to read it right now, but you get what I'm saying. Brad says, you there, Tom? Yes, Brad. Hi. Still here. Still alive. Not gone anywhere. Don't know what you were about. Venom says, Raquel versus Rhea when Rhea wins a title in NXT. Rhea couldn't beat Raquel, so that's an option. Shogun thinks we're going to see another Firefly Funhouse segment tonight. Hello, Lauren, saying Bray will be buried again, which that's typically how it goes with Bray, unfortunately. Christoph says, what do you think about the pot? Okay, that's pure speculation, Christoph. I do want to tell you, you've reported that as something from an internal source in WWE, which simply isn't true. You falsely reported that. So think about that and maybe correct what you've written a little bit. Counterfeit says, who should be the next champion after Rhea? Raquel Rodriguez pretty much matches perfectly for that, personally. Moxie says, Montez Ford versus Logan Paul for SummerSlam could be fun, maybe. Joey says, Fightful reported there's an injury angle planned for Tegan Nox tonight. Are they writing her off TV? Quite possibly, yes. Buck says, why do I guess Triple H for his first Mania is going to have all new champions for all main titles? He will not be doing that. Lauren says, do you think Kenny Omega will go to WWE? Maybe. Simon says, is they doing the Chamber 6-man tag featuring Damage Control versus Becky, Trish, Lita on a future Raw? No, there will not be a Chamber involved. Spider-Boss says, do you think WWE needs to change Bron Breakker's character? No, I think they need to give Bron Breakker a character. I don't think he's ever had a character. Moxie says, Tom, will you be watching Jake versus Tommy Fury this Sunday? No. Why would I do that? Counterfeit says, I'm not a Logan fan. The only good thing about him is his in-ring ability, which, to be fair, is the thing that I'm enjoying. Lauren is asking about Mania matches. I will be jumping into those just as soon as we're all caught up. Marcel says, hello, how are you? Hello, Marcel, how are you doing? Ray says, have you sorted your software out? Mostly. Sean says, Raj Giri tweeted that Kenny Omega, his contract has been extended due to the time he missed for injury in 2019. Yep, that's very much exactly what we were expecting. Mox says, Tom, who do you see as a champion after Cody Rhodes? Could be anyone. Let's let the actual championship change hands first, and then work it out from there. I've been good, thanks, Lauren. Hope you're good as well. Venom says, Funhouse was reported on Raw. Yep. That says, tonight, Imperium versus Strowman, Ricochet, Moss, Ray versus Cross, Rhea versus Charlotte. Tom, just check WWE Twitter. It'll not be Rhea versus Charlotte, it'll be a face-to-face. Perry says, injury angle for Nox, or is she actually hurt? Hard to tell one from the other. I do believe the main reason that it's happening is because she is actually hurt. Lauren says, what did you think of Chamber? It was a lot of fun. Dark Society says, ever since Roman turned heel 2 years ago, it was the best decision he and Vince could make. The people that hated him now love him. Roman is now a beloved heel, which is true. Simon, I watched New Japan, and I'll be watching New Japan matches featuring Mercedes Money. I will not be watching Mercedes Money matches that do not feature in New Japan. Yes, Lauren, I heard about Jeff Hardy. You know the deal, says Cinnamon Toast Crunch match at Mania. Any idea who'll be in this sponsored match? I will continue to suggest that it should be Bray Wyatt, Brock Lesnar, and Bobby Lashley. Lauren says, everyone was mad online that Jinder lost to Braun. Not true. I was online, and I was not mad, because I didn't care. Knight Rider says, I hope we get Sheamus becoming an Ultimate Grand Slam champion at Mania. Ken says, does WWE see Bliss at the same level they saw her back in 2018? No. Lauren says, Asuka heel turn soon. I suspect so, in the build-up to the match against Bianca. Vegeta says Brock will crunch Omos, but that match will not be on WrestleMania. Counterfeit says, will you be going to the pay-per-view in London, Money in the Bank? No, I will not. I'll be working, and I'll be hosting a watch party. Lauren says, on Monday, Trish was backstage but left early, because plans change. We have heard this several times, but not yet had any confirmation of it. Sean says, speaking of Braun, according to Uncle Dave, the boos for Bron Breakker are planted fans, according to Dave Meltzer. Also, during a segment between Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, about a third of the crowd walked out, which simply was not the case. Jaden Welcome says, is there going to be a SmackDown watch-along? Yes, there is. Lauren says, are you excited for Cena's return? No. John Cena. I've seen it. Venom says, don't think Edge saves Ray tonight considering what was done to him on Raw. Give it time. Joey says, are Trish and Lita going to be involved at Mania? Maybe. Perry says, if WWE had all of these Hollywood segments for Mania, should we just see Theory do a Cena mock one? Because, come on, that would be hilarious. That may or may not be the plan. Austin Theory as a Marine. Dominic Perez says, hello, Tom. Do you think WWE will split the championships? Yes. Not after the summer, after WrestleMania. Zima says, will Kenny Omega re-sign with AEW or sign with WWE? He will do whichever one he chooses to do. Counterfeit says, what if both Bianca and Charlotte retain? Well then, if that happens, then both Bianca and Charlotte will have retained. Hector says, so Tom, I've seen an interesting WWE sale theory on the internet, where we see WWE cashing in on another TV deal and hoping the economy gets better in about 4 or 5 years, and they could cash in for even more money. No, they couldn't. Vince McMahon wants to sell and he wants to sell now. Now. Lauren, yes, there is indeed a pay-per-view in London this year. Shogun says, oh, Moss's challenge is to set up the Hurt business. Lashley coming for the clean win at Mania. Yeah. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Brock versus Lashley at WrestleMania 39 as a no-holds-barred match. You may. You may. Lauren, I don't believe Roman's rating at 2K23 has been announced yet, but I know he's number 1. Lauren says, Edge versus Finn at Mania. Leuven says, Jinder beat Orton, and Braun beat Jinder, therefore Braun is better than Orton. No? No, because I still can't work out why I'm supposed to root for the guy. Still have no idea. They keep telling me he's great. I've not got any evidence to suggest it. We currently have 92 viewers and 34 likes. That is a third of our viewership having hit like at some point. Please remember to hit that thumbs up as you come into the room so that we can continue to grow. Right. Let's get to at least one of these matches, shall we? Because we're 35 minutes in, and I've got to be honest, I may have to start doing Q&A sessions just midweek. I might have to start doing Q&A sessions just so that I have time to report the news during spoiler warning. First one I want to talk about is the Tag Team Championship, that being the Women's Tag Team Championship. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler will be competing in the Tag Team division, challenging Damage Control, the holders of the championships, Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Also, not formally reported by anyone but myself, I see Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez involved in this one as well. For this match, I expect Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler to pick up the win, the championships to be transferred to SmackDown, and then that will be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler at least until SummerSlam, going across different brands, spending most of the time on SmackDown, and picking up a number of wins. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez would break up, and before you know it, we'd be seeing a Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley feud as well. Liv Morgan, I expect by the end of the year, will be in and around the championship again, but will not be seriously competing until then. As regards Damage Control, Bayley and Io Sky and Dakota Kai have a lot more to offer, and I do believe there'll be a heavy focus for Monday Night Raw going forwards. We will see a number of lateral movements. I can see people like, for example, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and, Lacey Evans, that's the one I was thinking of, moving across to Raw, working with or against Damage Control. So I still think they've got plenty of people to work with, though I do think Bayley versus Charlotte is long overdue once again. I'm going to do 3 matches at a time because I've got 12. Finn Balor versus Edge I want to discuss. There is talk about this being a Hell in a Cell match. There is talk about this being the return of the Demon King. I just want to clarify, Finn Balor does not want to bring the Demon King back. If the Demon King does return, it will be because Triple H insisted that it happens. Honestly, I think Edge wins this one, so I don't necessarily see the Demon King returning. Also, Brood Edge was kind of a one-time thing. I don't get why people get so excited about that. And third, Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio. We will see the beginning of the build to that in the weeks to come. We have Rhea Ripley arriving on SmackDown tonight. I expect we'll see some connection there as well. This may be Rey Mysterio's last WrestleMania. It may be Rey Mysterio's last match. Dominic Mysterio, for me, will be beating Rey at WrestleMania. Ooh. Lauren thinks AEW is going downhill. I don't watch enough of it to really see. Parrish says, I have a theory about the Marine. Lacey is still bad at it on TV. Counterfeit says, I believe Cody will win the titles and lose them to an NXT superstar. You're thinking real far ahead. Lauren says, do you think Roman will be defending on both nights? Not anymore, no. Venom says, how soon on Mania, like the Mania after Raw or after Backlash, will they be split? Great question. Lauren says, I don't think Vince should sell WWE. He disagrees and will sell regardless. Peter Englefield says, Money in the Bank general tickets sold out in 1 minute. Wow, yeah, we care in the UK. We show up. We really do. Perry says, LA Knight versus McAfee would be solid if they need a Mania match. I agree with that one, actually. That's a very good show. Lauren says, do you think Orton will be a heel upon his return? Nope. Venom says, I want Brock versus Batista. That will not be happening. Lauren says, I agree. I don't like Jinder either. Never did. I just said I don't care. It's not quite how that works. I did. Counterfeit. That's true. That's true. No need to say sorry, Lauren. I like that we get so many questions. The amount of... there's something on YouTube called chat rate. So the more people are chatting, the more YouTube advertises your show to people that they know to be wrestling fans. The more impressions they send out, and the more chance you have of someone actually clicking on. We already have 238 views, for example, and a large part of that is because so many people are asking questions. So never apologise for asking questions. I appreciate it. Vegeta says, Braun is great in the ring, so is almost every other wrestler in the WWE. He does not stand out. Moxley says, in my opinion, I think WWE should have done Rhea versus Bianca and new Asuka versus Charlotte. I mean, that could have been a thing. It's not what they went with, though. Spider-Boss says, Becky Lynch has got the highest rating on 2K23, which is not true. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns have a higher rating than Becky Lynch does. Sean says, what will WWE do if Dakota isn't cleared for Raw on Monday? They would not have announced the match if she hadn't been cleared, I don't believe. Justin has given us a +1 for Q&A sessions. If that's something people are genuinely interested in, where we can do separate Q&A sessions outside of spoiler warning, let me know, because spoiler warning is starting to get very, very long. Christoph says it's been reported. Who by, Christoph? Who by? Venom says, can you do Wednesday spoiler warnings? We get one beginning, middle, and end of the week. I want more, Tom. Maybe. I can't commit to that, though. Let's be fair. You've got to realise how much of my time these shows do take, particularly with the planning. Now, I wouldn't have to really plan a Q&A, but these things do take time to make happen. Eric says, Tom, do you think Liv is legitimately hurt, or was she just doing an amazing job selling? Liv Morgan is not particularly hurt, to my knowledge. Simon says, AEW New Japan Forbidden Door 2 has been leaked. Who by, Simon? Who's your source? Lauren says, you said Lita and Trish versus Damage Control? I didn't say that. I may have said that if we missed some words. Moxie says, I think Finn beats Edge and Finn keeps beating people until he faces Cody at SummerSlam. I'd like that. I think those two could work out really well. Knight Rider hopes Edge beats Balor. Vegeta wants Ray to retire Dom in a match. Isaac Fernandez says, any news on an Australian show or even live event loop? It's been unfortunate for years. Yes, there is discussions taking place as regards a pay-per-view in Australia. It doesn't look like it's likely to happen this year, though it is something that they could be looking at for next year. Their focus at the moment is mostly on a show in China. Christoph says, my opinion, if Finn doesn't feel like being the demon again, it would be a bad idea to force him. And indeed it was the last time it happened. Finn Balor did not want to be the Demon King against Roman Reigns. Didn't want him. Venom says, Damian Priest is the only wrestler in Judgment Day who hasn't done nothing. You're saying everyone else has done nothing? FDR dropping some tables. Welcome, FDR. How you doing? Vegeta says, do Brock versus Batista in 2K. That's an option. Joey says, do you think Legado will help Ray against Judgment Day? No, because otherwise how's he going to lose? Spider-Boss says, for me, Bron Breakker is a copy-paste of his dad and his uncle Scott. Scott Steiner stood out. For bad reasons, but he stood out. Moxie agrees, Q&A sessions on Wednesdays. Certainly I could look to do this in the build to WrestleMania, if you guys are interested in it. Could certainly do that. Spider-Boss enjoyed the promo from MJF. Vegeta believes that Bron does stand out. Westminster Journal is asking, what do you think of OVW? I've not watched a lot of it, to be blunt. Not watched a lot. Venom says, do you think Strowman gets on the Mania card? Nope. Ray says, will we see Corey Graves versus Pat McAfee? Nope. Eric Douglas says, do you think Liv is legitimately hurt? Nope. Brad Becker says, yes, please. Yes. Knight Rider says, maybe we get a Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio feud post-Mania. I think there's a lot of money in that, potentially. Daz is also giving a +1 to Q&As. Okay, so there's interest. Okay, a lot of people thinking we should do a Wednesday Q&A session. That's not impossible. We could certainly start doing that in the build to WrestleMania. If you guys are definitely interested. If you're interested, keep letting me know. Noob says, I was never a fan of Jinder after the feud he had with Nakamura, which is embarrassing and way terrible than the feud between Asuka and Carmella. Vegeta says, Braun will be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which is what I expect as well. Lubin says, technically wrestlers are always hurt. Simon says, do you see Piper Niven and Omos winning the pre-show Battle Royal? Maybe. Venom says, don't really like Jordan Devlin at the minute, but you can't deny how amazing he is in the ring. Justin Stevens says they took Alexa out of the WrestleMania commercial, so I guess he's not going to be at Mania. Maybe Raw after Mania is the next hope. I did mention before this, in a previous spoiler warning, that Alexa Bliss was unlikely to make WrestleMania. Moxie says Rhea versus Ray, winner gets custody of Dom. I think he's old enough to have custody of himself at this point. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Rey Mysterio stay a little bit longer and lose against Dominic at SummerSlam. I don't think he needs to lose to him twice. I don't think he needs to do that twice. Moxie says, Tom, do you see Dom getting involved in Ray's match tonight? Possibly, yes. Though that would, of course, be another screwy finish for Karrion Kross. Joey says, I'd love to see a pay-per-view in Japan, but don't think it will happen because of the time zone difference. I watch them regularly. They're very early morning. Vegeta is a bit tired of Alexa. Steve Englund says, hi, Tom, just woke from a nap. What does Damian Priest end up doing at WrestleMania? Standing to one side. It's been nice. Sai, welcome. Says, hi, Tom and all. Enjoyed the members only video discussing the WWE sale. Nice work. For those that don't know, on Wednesday I released a video. It's about 7 minutes detailing 6 different companies that are potentially going to be buying the WWE, where those companies are, and what they could do if given the opportunity. That is currently in the members only section, and there it will stay for at least a little while longer while I iron out particular kinks about it. The members only section, I of course have a little bit of leeway to be a bit more relaxed in my presentation style. Whereas here, when I have 100 viewers and a lot of questions, I have to kind of race through things. So I took my time, put together a members only video. If you're interested, you can be a channel member for as little as $1. $1. Knight Rider says, do you think the Andre and Women's Battle Royal winners should get more than just a trophy to give them meaning? Yes. I also don't think they will. Venom says, all Judgment Day has done stuff except Priest. It's like, what really has Damian Priest done? He was the very first member of Judgment Day, to be fair. Angel Lucia says, Tom, do you think Orton wins a world title again before he retires? Yes, I do. FDR says, I'm great, Tom. How are you? Very good, thank you, FDR. Always good to know that everyone else is having a great time too. Peter says, Tom, to do a midweek show, can I get a hell yeah? Daz likes the idea as well. Justin says, Vegeta, I'm tired of the Fiend. Alexa, but Goddess Alexa was amazing. Joey says, Vince ruined the demon character. Debatable. Marcel says, Q&A sounds good. DC, welcome. Says, hey Tom, sorry for my absence. Not required at all, don't you worry. Getting this new business started is nerve-wracking. How soon will the WWE tour South Africa? I do not see that happening at any point soon, unfortunately. Perry says, is Tyler Bate ever going to be called up? Hopefully not. Simon says, any timetable on Matt Riddle's return? Not at this point in time. Let's just say things are still working themselves through. And I will say no more in case. Isaac says, looks like Madcap and Emma are going for a heel turn. Maybe a potential feud with Santos and Zelina. I don't necessarily see a heel turn, because Santos and Zelina are already heels. They've been heels since they came up. So that feud doesn't need 2 heels. Well, 4 heels. Sean says, Alexa did have a poster shown during the graphics for Asuka versus Bianca. Juan Orozco says, hello Tom. Do you think Omega departs before Forbidden Door? No. Moxie says, Tom, have you ever thought of adding posters or displayed to your wall behind you? Yes, I have. I actually, when I first launched these channels like 2 years ago, I got a whole load of posters. All old posters from my childhood of like The Undertaker, Kane, the first 150 Pokemon, Yoda. There's a whole load of stuff. And over time, like, I need something here. This is boring and I need to jazz it up. But what? What? Heno is interested in the Q&A. Wrestler Fan says, will there be a men's and women's battle royal at WrestleMania 39? Most probably, yes. I expect it to happen at the pre-shows for each day. Simon says, Spectrum pay-per-view broadcast company in the US leaked the Forbidden Door to AEW New Japan PLE pay-per-view on a 2023 calendar. Joey says, do you have any news on when Matt Riddle could return? Nope. Spider-Boss says, I thought Damian Priest would have been the star of the Judgment Day, and Dominic is the one who got the push. To be fair, they've all gotten a push. They're all being pushed. You don't always have to be the guy stood front and centre to be getting a push. Sean says, Damian is a former NXT North American and a former US champion, so he has done something. Which, yes, that's not during Judgment Day, but let's not forget that he has actually been involved in quite a lot. Moxie says, I'd do the winner on the women and men's Battle Royal winner. I should get in a number 1 contender match against the world champion. I do not. I think that's too much. Welcome, Video Bros Network. I know who you may be. And thank you very much for that subscribe. Isaac Fernandez says, of all these imminent NXT call-ups, the rosters are going to be so much more bloated, much more than they already are. I wonder how they're going to work around it. With a lot of rotation. If anyone wants Bray versus Volta. Razar says, WWE announced a Battle Royal live event and the winner faces Gunter at WrestleMania. Why aren't they doing it on TV? No idea. No idea. Certainly it means a lot for that live viewership when you consider it's probably going to be Drew McIntyre. Spider-Boss says, Damian Priest is the first member of Judgment Day, but WWE decided to pull the trigger on Dominic and Rhea. They decided to pull the trigger on all of them, but they were simply more inventive with Dominic and Rhea, and it's working out. Yes, Dominic. I am aware of the word Bodybuilding Federation. That is where Triple H started. Parrish says, people who say Vince ruins this are the same ones who love it when they work with Triple H. This means nothing was ruined, just used differently and not to your liking. Video Bros says, hello Tom, how are you doing? Doing very well, thank you, mate. Welcome to the show. Curious to see both of you here. Isaac says, will the New Day be at Mania? Yes, they've been absent recently because they've been elsewhere doing promotional material, particularly as regards 2K. Carly says you should do a poll on what to put on your... I mean, that's fair. Ray says, what do you think will be the best 2K23 or AEW Fight Forever? I think they'll be different. Very different. Knight Rider says, rated Arcade Bro could be interesting, and it will be. Vegeta wants to see Madcap every week. That's not going to be happening. And Corey says, make sure everyone hits that like button and subscribe. Tom is a great reporter. Thank you very much. Steve says, try still images of Raw pay-per-view SmackDown as chose from the perspective of a fan in the high seats for a backdrop, assuming green screen type usage. To be fair, I do have one of those, but I'm not doing a green screen. I don't like that. I don't like it when you see someone move and then the actual fake background sort of moves with them. I'm not a fan, and it's become a thing recently, and I'm not entirely comfortable with the idea of doing it myself. Marcel wants Lita and Becky to win the tag titles. Venom says, won't be watching the pre-show, no point in wasting my energy watching them. Talk about it when I can save my energy for the main card. Yes, but if there are matches, you may be more interested. Sean says, what do you think Miz's announcement on Miz TV will be? No idea, let's wait and give him a chance. Dad says, Tom, have you heard Basics Pro Wrestling? They're on YouTube. I have not. Moxie says, maybe you could add a couple of titles on the side of your wall. I'm not made of money, mate. I'm not made of money, and that's a lot. That is a lot. Bailey says, why does Vince want to sell outright as opposed to simply selling his 81% share? Because he wants a massive lump sum that he can buy something new, take over, and be like, okay, well, I can do something even better than they did. Spiderball says, what is the best version of Triple H? Personally, for me, it was DX2. Merch isn't a bad shout, Moxie, though I'm not really... I was going to say I'm not really keen on having my name on screen, and then I looked up. It's right there. 3 times. What am I even talking about? Simon says, your AEW Revolution Hangman versus Moxley Texas Deathmatch prediction. Blood. Sai says you could use some vintage-style wrestling posters, maybe even with fantasy matches put together by the spoiler warning community. I know a guy who designs them. Do you? Do you? Because Jay White versus Seth Rollins could be a lot of fun. Get Will Ospreay in there. We could do a fantasy card. We could do me versus someone. I've got no good pictures for it, but we could do it. Venom says, will Shane McMahon be coming back anytime soon? Nope. Perry says, half day at work and the show was on right when I left. We are very consistent in our times at the very least. At the very least. Leuven says, Vince definitely 100% ruined carrying Cross. I would debate that Triple H has done a worse job with him. I would absolutely say that. Marcel would like Bray versus Edge in a feud. Shogun says, when's a jacuzzi stream? Never. Never gonna happen. I don't want to be topless on stream. That would not be a good moment for anyone involved. Sports Editor says you deserve more subscribers. Take lots of love from Bangladesh. Thank you, Sports Editor. I appreciate that. If you are considering subscribing, and we do have 96 people here who could indeed be considering it, please do so. We are continuing to grow. We have just hit 2,160 subscribers. That's 4 more during this show, and I very much appreciate it. It does get me closer and closer to a point where I can do this full time. Every time you see an ad, every time we get a donation, a subscription, a channel membership, every single time that happens, we get closer and closer to a point where I get to make a living doing this. So, huge thanks. Isaac says, is it Nikki Cross Candy stuff leading to a sanity return? Yep. Venom says, don't care who buys WWE as long as Triple H stays on creative. Be stupid to take him out of creative considering how well he's doing. To my knowledge, one company interested in doing that after a purchase. Parrish says, fantasy match for me, Gable versus Bate. I'd love to see Chad Gable beat the ever-living shit out of Tyler Bate, yeah. Simon says, are we still getting Drew versus Sheamus versus Gunter? I was going to be talking about WrestleMania matches, and I still intend to. We've only managed 3 so far in 54 minutes, so we'll get that. Juan says, thoughts on Warner Discovery saying and gaslighting AEW and bringing in $4 million a week. I don't know what that's in reference to. Parrish, I appreciate that, mate. Says, I liked and shared on Twitter and Facebook. I really do appreciate that. That's absolutely fantastic. I appreciate that. Simon says, do you think we get an in-location kayfabe attack segment filmed on Raw featuring Seth and Logan as Seth teased on Raw. Yes, quite possibly. I'd imagine it'll happen during Impulsive. Venom. There is no jacuzzi on a table. No comment, Perish. No comment. Regular viewers of Spoiler Warning also have no idea. But for the sake of, legality, I'm going to go ahead and no comment. Spider-Boss says, some guarantees in AEW, fake endings in matches, and Moxley bleeding. Moxley says, summon Shane merch or book it, Vince. I believe the phrase that we went with is bad, Vince. Sean says, any idea on when Cora Jade will be back? Will she be a challenger for Roxanne down the road? I suspect the call-up is coming next. Spider-Boss says, after watching AEW for a while, I learned every time AEW's ratings are down, Tony Khan comes up with a big announcement. Also, I've been mentioning that one for years. Moxley says, I don't know if this year's WrestleMania can beat last year's, because last year's WrestleMania was fantastic, and I wholeheartedly agree. Joey says, can we hear about the rest of the matches now? They're coming. Leuven says, what were those 3 matches you mentioned? Do you want me to recap what I've already done? I've barely done anything. I'll recap at the end, don't worry. Simon says, is Eric Young wrestling in the WWE or just producing now? You haven't seen him wrestle because he hasn't wrestled. Callie says, Tommy, you need to do some merch. You putting someone through the table, maybe Tyler Bate. Ray says, Tyler Bate is a top wrestler. Don't care. Perish says, I'm even more curious now. The information may be out there if you know where to look. Dehano says, did we keep going with the Mania card or did I miss everything? Lots of questions. Okay, Leuven says, what big announcement did TK have for us? Could not care less. Sean says, a reality series is a big announcement? I don't know. You never know with Tony Khan. He blows things out of proportion. Moxie says, Tom versus Gunter versus Brock shirtless match. No. No, Moxie. No. Alyssa says, do you agree with me? Seth Rollins is overdue at Mania this year and needs a win. No. The man could lose for the next 5 years and still be one of the biggest wrestlers in the world, so might as well pay it forwards. Sports Editor says, AEW is so boring now, what do you think? I think they're already failed. They haven't failed. They in no way have failed, and I also don't think they're boring. I just think they are waiting on one big storyline, because right now they don't have that. They don't have that. Venom, that video will never happen. Westminster Journalist says, favourite stable for me was DX2 way back when. Let's talk WrestleMania. The next 3 matches I want to briefly discuss is, starting with Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. This was first confirmed in Spoiler Warning right after Royal Rumble, though I don't think it was a big surprise to anyone. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul, and at this point, they are undecided as to who is going to be winning this one. Seth Rollins would apparently have no issue losing to Logan Paul, and they don't want Logan Paul to come up against too heavy a wall. That said, the fact that Seth Rollins is not the US champion, a championship that they actually are very interested in putting onto Logan Paul, does suggest that Logan Paul will be losing this one. This will be a big name match, a real marquee showing for both men. Rehearsals have already started. It's rare at this point that Seth Rollins rehearses, considering he usually calls it in the ring, but Logan Paul and Seth Rollins have started their rehearsal process to work out what the match is going to be. From what I'm hearing, it should be quite exciting. Next up, Austin Theory versus John Cena. The return of John Cena in the next few weeks will herald the match for Austin Theory. You may note that Austin Theory has already started laying into John Cena to get his attention. This will be for the United States Championship, and I've got to be honest, I do not see John Cena winning this match. I don't know whether it's pure shenanigans or what, but for me, Austin Theory defeats John Cena. John Cena is in that phase of his career where losses mean more, and he cannot commit to the full-time schedule needed for a United States Championship run of more than a month or 2. Put over Austin Theory, he's earned it. Next up, the Raw Women's Championship match, Bianca Belair versus Asuka. And with the reinvention of Asuka and the positioning of Bianca Belair at the moment, I think this is a championship change. Asuka winning the championship, taking over at the top level of Raw, where she can work as a face against people such as Becky Lynch. We'll get a new Becky Lynch versus Asuka feud, which is a feud that keeps on giving, to be fair. There are plenty of other people who could make the move over. Liv Morgan, for example, could work with Asuka if she moves over to Raw. Raquel Rodriguez as well is someone that's been mentioned. For me, Bianca Belair is going to SmackDown. I will be doing draft predictions relatively soon. There'll be videos rather than live shows. So I also really enjoyed when, I believe it was last year, when we did the PowerPoint presentation. I really enjoyed that. I did it on Twitch and then did it on YouTube as well because it was funny. And I did it like 5 days later. For me, Bianca Belair will go to SmackDown and Asuka will win the Raw Women's Championship. That is half of our matches. 6 yet to go. Let's catch up with the chat. Spider-Boss says, my favourite matches from Mania 38 were Roman versus Brock and the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Team titles. I do not recall a Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Team titles last year. Genuinely have no idea. Cannot recall it. That's the impact that's made on me. Simon says, Tom, BT Sport in the UK is changing to TNT Sports in July, but still airing WWE TV weekly due to their Warner Brothers Discovery takeover of BT Sport. Yes, they are. Eric Douglas says, would you ever consider doing interviews with WWE wrestlers? I would, but they will not offer me the opportunity. I'm far too small for that to work. If you'd like me to get interviews with WWE wrestlers, do me a favour. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Sean says, a PowerPoint presentation like what Drew Gulak did? Yeah. It was all blue. And it was like centre screen and I was down in the corner and it was great fun. Parrish, that may be something you're interested in. We could do competitive draft picks. That could be fun. Well, it works really well on StreamYard because you can just share your screen. Parrish says, AEWs in my eyes have officially gotten to the honeymoon phase and need to wait for the organic stuff to help them shape themselves into a new identity. They were built very heavily around certain wrestlers. Cody Rhodes leaving and going to WWE, that was a hard hit for them, a hard hit. They've still got Adam Cole, they've still got Bryan Danielson, they've still got Jon Moxley. They can make something new, but right now, it needs to be all about MJF. And MJF, unfortunately, while very talented, is very abrasive. Leuven says reality TV could be a good way to blur the lines of what's real and scripted since reality TV shows aren't really reality. Christoph says Seth vs Logan could really be the 5-star match of this year. There's a number of matches, which I will be discussing, which have 5-star match potential according to WWE and sources inside. Tino's time to say, Tom, hey Tino, how you doing, mate? Great to see you. Been a little while. I think last time I saw you was on Steve's show. Vegeta says Logan versus Seth can be like Steamboat versus Macho Man. Perry says, does Asuka tap Bianca out? I don't think she taps her out. I think she actually pins her. That's why she's been sort of testing a new finisher. I don't think Bianca's going to tap, but we may see Bianca pass out Liv Morgan style. Late Talk says, hey Tom. Hello, Late Talk. Eric says, the 4-way was Liv and... thank you. Yes. Yep, it's straight back now. Thank you very kindly. Perry says, does MJF really leave AEW? I don't believe he does. He got a new contract. His time was extended. The money went up. He seems pretty happy there now. After all, he is the champion. It's all about him. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Jade Cargill in big feuds in AEW against women like Saraya or Britt Baker. I agree. She's a hot commodity. Push her up. Steve says, are you a fan of the tag team Pretty Deadly? Kind of. I've not seen enough of them to really say, but I like their background acting. I love background acting in wrestling. And Vegeta says, if the Elite leave, is AEW in hot water? No. See, here's the thing. AEW massively exceeded expectations. We have been waiting a long time to see an honest rating because of the amount of surprises, debuts and signings that Tony Khan makes. It's been impossible to just get an honest rating. We are finally getting there. So we're going to be able to see just how much they've exceeded their own expectations. Venom says, do you see Bianca whipping Asuka at Mania and Asuka just laps it off and beats her? I don't think anyone can because that's really painful. No, you're right. Asuka could. Asuka definitely could. Next up, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I do not think we're seeing Brock Lesnar versus Omos. To be fair, it wasn't long ago we were talking about Brock Lesnar versus Gunther as if it was happening. I maintain my belief that we will see another Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley match at WrestleMania. This time, Brock Lesnar vanquishing the Beast with the intention of moving on to Cody Rhodes. Now for me, Bray Wyatt's going to get involved pretty much immediately. This will herald a move to Raw for Bray Wyatt, and thus some new opponents and new people to work with, because, you know, he worked through all of the rest of SmackDown so far. I think Bobby Lashley wins, is attacked by Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt eventually heads towards Cody Rhodes. For the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Now, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre I've been talking about since September. During the height of, it's going to be Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, I stood by it and I stand by it now. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre after the Royal Rumble, also versus Sheamus. I have Gunther retaining. I had Gunther defeating Drew McIntyre clean. However, with Sheamus involved, I see Gunther pinning Sheamus. It makes more sense. Really, Sheamus can take the loss. Even though Drew McIntyre can, he won't. For me, this is a 5-star potential match. It's got everything you could possibly want and need in a wrestling match and in a wrestling feud. I just want them to give it to me and give us a chance to just build towards it by having the three of them just stare each other down. I'd be very happy with that. Then another potential 5-star match, Becky Lynch versus Bayley. I believe it was October. I first reported that one on YouTube and on Twitch. Becky Lynch was originally slated under Vince McMahon to be taking on Ronda Rousey after winning the Royal Rumble and taking her on for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was changed and pivoted, Ronda Rousey herself not too enamoured of it, as well as Triple H. So Becky Lynch versus Bayley is where we pivoted to, and we've been working towards that for the past few months. Yes, there is involvement from Lita. Yes, there is involvement from Trish Stratus. I don't see a stipulation. I think these two putting on a wrestling clinic, Becky Lynch doing what she does to make this match the way, the success that it always is with Becky Lynch. Bayley also delivering in a way that I don't feel she's had many opportunities to really show. I don't think we've seen enough of Bayley getting a 20-30 minute match where she can just wrestle an opponent as talented as her. This has got 5-star potential for me. 5-star potential. 3 matches left to cover. Let's pop back to the chat. Spider-Boss says, where has Kyle O'Reilly been? Injured. And says, in your opinion, who's been the most underrated female wrestler in WWE? China. Because, we're still not celebrating her enough. Venom... Oh, no, sorry. Parrish says, can't believe WWE doesn't sell Bianca ponytails. That's a good shout, actually. That's a good shout. Steve says, little prediction for Miz announcement on Raw. Thinking he could be the host for WrestleMania as Hollywood needs an A-lister. Could be a good time for the New Day to pop up. Harry says, any news about Rey Mysterio? He's wrestling tonight. I don't know what news you're expecting. Leuven says, who do you think the top woman heel on NXT is? At the moment, Casey Jane. I believe that's her name. Juan Orozco says, thoughts on Mandy Rose maybe going to AEW? She did say she wouldn't say no to AEW in an interview. She wouldn't say no, except she actually already has. She's happy doing what she's doing, and all power to her. Leuven says a freeway match would definitely elevate the IC title. Alyssa says why build up, dethrone Asuka in future? Look at the next star on Raw. Alyssa, would you be able to clarify that, please? I don't quite understand. Christoph says Brock is scheduled to answer Omos' challenge this Monday. They'll quickly find out if there's a swerve or if it's unfortunately true. If he's answering the challenge on Monday, surely the wrestling match is going to be on Monday, not WrestleMania. Her business. Venom says, will the belts be split before Money in the Bank? Yes. Seems most likely at this point with the draft. Connecting People says, aloha. How you doing, mate? Perry says, what did I miss, by the way, of hearing Queen of the Ring? One night used by someone and known as Queen's Crown. Did something happen? Yes. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics has reported that there will be a King and Queen of the Ring show taking place. A premium live event is what the news is that has been brought in by the chat here, which is good news and does create a good opportunity for people. I could see that being a Raquel Rodriguez platform, for example, with Liv Morgan doing a good showing as well. Though I also think Shayna Baszler would be in for a good shout. Once again, it didn't really do much for Zelina, let's say that. Sai says, would love Gunter, Sheamus and Drew. Now watch him get Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's usually pretty good in Fatal 4-Ways, so you think back to SummerSlam, but he's not the most reliable in that format. Venom says, I just don't see how they'll separate the tag belts. Do you see KO and Sami vacating the Raw or SmackDown tag belts? SmackDown, personally. Parrish wants to see Miz and Grayson Waller join forces. Venom says, do you see Triple H bringing Mandy back? Nope. He wants to, though. He wants to. Yes, Moxie, I'm doing a SmackDown watch party tonight. Check it out. Sean says, if any women in NXT need to be called up, it's Indy Hartwell. She doesn't really have anything in NXT to do, and if they're not going to put the belt on her, call her up. That could be said for about 5 different women at the moment. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see a mixed tag match after WrestleMania. Pardon me. Santos and Zelina versus Dominic and Rhea. Alyssa says, who built for Asuka win title? I'm not sure, unfortunately, Alyssa, what you're trying to say. If you can just try and clarify that one more time. Westminster says, WCW Invasion Fort. I actually stopped watching just around that time because we travelled across the country and I didn't have access anymore. So, fun fact, Moxie. When I was 16 until 23, I had long black hair. Dyed it black. Came down to about here. And I eventually cut it because I kept turning over in my sleep and choking. Parrish says, LA Knight for King of the Ring, Carmella for Queen of the Ring, my early predictions. LA Knight's not a bad shout. Carrying Cross early was also a good shout for it. I think there's some good options there. Christoph says, the King of the Ring was one of my favourite pay-per-views back in the day. Hopefully it'll give more prestige and relevancy to the winners. Sports Editor says, will WWE ever go back to TV 14? Everything is on the table. No. Joey says, do you think LA Knight versus Pat McAfee will happen at Mania? No. Simon says, do you see Mercedes Money versus Jamie Hayter? No. Parrish says, Gunter revealed on the bump that the Bloodline versus Imperium should happen. Do we see this eventually occurring with a War Games finale? I don't think we're going War Games there, but I definitely see it happening. The issue is, Bloodline may not be a thing for much longer. And Venom says, why this random pairing of Nick and Candice when they could just call Indy up and reunite the Way? Because why call someone else up when they can try and push someone that they already have? The issue that we've had a lot over the last few years is that someone will start to gain traction and then someone else will be called up. And instead of going above them or just going up, what will happen is as this person gains traction, that will stop and then this person will gain traction. And then someone else will be called up and everyone is at the bottom doing nothing. Frozen. Spider-Man says, do you see Mercedes Money going to AEW during 2023? Yes. GKO says, nobody seems to be giving Roman Reigns a chance at beating Cody at WrestleMania. There is no guarantee Cody is winning. Early prediction me is Roman retains. Cody isn't the guy for me. We'll see how that goes. Joey says, hopefully the King of the Ring winner will get a title match instead of wearing a crown for 6 months and doing nothing. Got you, Alyssa. Okay, I'm with you. Says, who would you build as a threat to Asuka in the future? Raquel Rodriguez, I think, is a logical next choice. Parrish says, DIY reunion over the Way reunion. I think we'll see DIY first, but I think we'll see the Way longest. Simon says, any AJ Styles timetable on a return? They have no creative plans for him, to my knowledge, at this point in time. I haven't checked for a little while, so that may be outdated. But to my knowledge at the moment, we should not expect to see AJ Styles at least until after WrestleMania. Moxie says, Tom, do you see Roman ever being in a War Games match? He already has been. He was in the most recent War Games match. Spider-Boss says, does Solo Sikoa get involved on Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania 39? I believe he does. More on that very soon. 3 matches left to discuss, and I have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. This is one of the competitors to main event night 1. Now, I've spoken about this one for a while. It was in September when I announced that Kevin Owens would be coming back as a face, and he would be coming back in a tag team with Sami Zayn for a tag team match at WrestleMania against the Usos. That was reported the night Kevin Owens actually returned, so it was just in time. Someone did me a solid with that one, I tell you. As regards Sami Zayn, this is the big WrestleMania moment, and this is the end of his push against the Bloodline. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will be leaving WrestleMania as both tag team champions, but will not remain both. The other match I see as the potential winner of the main event race for night 1 is Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, Charlotte Flair as a face does not work for me, and I've got to be real blunt. I don't think it works for a WrestleMania crowd either, because you know they be smarky. You know they be smarky. So for me, this is a match where the crowd are going to be really firmly behind Rhea Ripley. And that works, because I think Rhea Ripley's winning this one. I think Charlotte Flair won the championship to be a transitional champion, much as she did from Becky Lynch way back when to be a transitional champion to Bayley. And I just don't expect, long term, Charlotte Flair to be in and around the championship picture for too long. Now, I'd imagine there'll be a rematch of Backlash, which, by the way, is now Backlash and not WrestleMania Backlash. But for me, Rhea Ripley leaves WrestleMania having main evented night one, beaten Charlotte Flair clean, and won the SmackDown Women's Championship. That leaves us with just one match in this here WrestleMania preview, which has now been going for an hour and 15 minutes. And that is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. One-on-one, and no, it will not be clean. From where I'm sitting, the Usos will not be involved. May well have broken off from Roman at this point. If Jay is punished by Roman, I see Jimmy following him far, far away. But I still think we're going to see that tag team match. That leaves Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, potentially Solo Sikoa backing up Roman, but ultimately an isolated Roman regardless. Now, I definitely see shenanigans here. I see a ref bump. I see Sami Zayn helping Cody Rhodes to stop Solo Sikoa and to win both championships. Sami Zayn will get the final word by costing Roman his championships, but will not win them himself because Cody Rhodes will stand tall. And I'd love the idea of, at the end of WrestleMania, Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes standing in the ring, each holding up 2 championships. At that point, I would start the build towards one final Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso match to wrap that up in a nice little bow. Sean says Aaliyah has been posting videos of her working out and training, possibly of her return soon. Yep, she's cleared and firing and ready to go, to my knowledge, just waiting for the right story. Spider-Boss says, I hope this time becomes truth that Charlotte will be out of the title picture for a while. Venom says, do you have an injury update on Johnny? Seems he suffered a bad injury at the chamber from what Candice said, and from the way he was holding his eye after the pod spot. Have no update on that one. This is not something I have anything about, unfortunately. Now Ryder says, could Roman retain and pass Pedro Morales 1,027 days as champion? He could. I don't think he will, but he could. Perry says, I'll say a streak versus streak match would be cool. Roman as champ versus Gunter as IC champ. I don't think that one's impossible. I think Roman versus Gunter is a match made in heaven. Simon says, any storyline plans for Cora Jay's return to NXT TV? Not to my knowledge at this point in time, no. Simon says, your thoughts on Tiffany Stratton as a talent? I'm a really big fan. I'm not sure. I've not seen enough of her. Perry says, Piper Niven is my pick to beat Asuka, not Raquel Rodriguez. Not a bad shout. Those two do have a bit of history. Thomas Phipps, how you doing? Says, sorry I'm late, Tom. Really looking forward to this WrestleMania. Personally think it has the possibility of going down as one of the best Manias in a long time. I agree, and Triple H is on a mission to make that one happen. Venom says, after Mania, we'll have a vacated SmackDown Tag Belts and Universal title. Who do you think gets these titles? On the SmackDown side, I honestly kind of think the Viking Raiders will be the ones to get the championships. As regards the Universal title, I wouldn't mind Gunter. I think it's probably going to be Drew. Now Ryder says the A-lister could host Mania and it could be awesome. Christoph says, Charlotte says herself in an interview recently, it was hard for her to work as a face and she'd rather be a heel. I don't blame Hunter for wanting to try, but it just doesn't click to me. Ryan Betson says, oh man, the idea of that final shot of Sami and Cody literally gave me tingles. Glad to hear I'm making you tingle, Ryan. It's all I really want in life. Perry says, what if Ted DiBiase Jr. helps Cody? Would this be something people really like? Debatable, because it would be a case of a very, very brief appearance. Randy Orton could be an option. He wouldn't be able to get physical because he's not cleared, but it could be an option. GKO says, is there much hope of Randy Orton returning at some point this year? Yes, I've actually already uploaded a video about Randy Orton's return schedule that you may want to check out. Joey says, I think Bronson Reed versus Brock could be a money match. Not yet. And Callie says, I love that spoiler prediction with Roman and Cody. That'd be an amazing ending to WrestleMania. Eric wants Liv to win Queen of the Ring. A lot of folks on Liv Morgan at the moment. A lot of other people who deserve some opportunities as well. Simon says, do you think they should put a world title shot on both Queen and King. You guys have asked this a lot. Like a lot. I don't think the top championship should be the one, though I did like it when it used to be the match at SummerSlam would go to the King of the Ring. Barry Monkey says, if I was WWE, I'd split the tag titles by having Sami take one and Owens taking one. Going separate ways, still friends. But it's a tag team championship. Bailey says, the 23rd Lacey Evans push is already dead, correct? Nope. Moxley says, I think Jay has to cost Roman the titles, where Roman hits Jay with a chair in the back. I don't think we need to be there. I think we can end in a positive. Spider-Boss says, I had hopes on Cora Jade when she was babyface, but after her match with Roxanne, she hasn't done much. And Moxley says that I've Seth go to SmackDown and win the Universal Championship. Venom, once again, AJ Styles, no information. Alyssa says, do you see Paul Heyman turning on Roman Reigns? Nope. There's no value to it. Monkey says they can get new partners. Wrestling has done similar stuff before. That then is all of our WrestleMania preview. Thank you very much, Parrish, for following on Twitch. I appreciate that, jumping onto both sides, however briefly, and giving us a little bit more momentum on that one as well. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you kindly for following. We are going to wrap up there, but please be aware we will be live for a SmackDown watch party. These watch parties have been getting a few thousand views per show, and it's been really valuable to the growth of the channel. So please do, pardon me, pop in, lurk if you'd like. If you're not a big fan of having someone talking over wrestling, just mute me. Just mute me, but have me in the background. It'd be really nice. I'd really appreciate it. No need to feel bad for it, Parrot. No need, don't you worry. Until then, though, I'm going to wrap up, and I will see you all later. I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic, and I will see you all very soon.